Thank the Most High for another Sabbath, and I've got another lesson for you today. This is June 24, 2017. This lesson today is another lesson in the series I'm doing on Satan, trying to figure out who this Satan is. I want to show some different thoughts than some of us have had, because as we grew up, most of us listening to this with a Christian mind frame, we were led to think certain things about demon from the New Testament teachings of the Romans, and who tried to spin those teachings across in a Hebrew kind of way, making you think that this is what the Hebrews believed. No, these are what the Romans believed, who were the Greeks before, who were pagan in their thinking. And so they gave us these strange kind of thinking about what demons were really about. And so as I present this, you'll find this kind of teaching from some other people who have clearly taught on the topic so well as well, but a lot more people need to talk about it from this point of view, because so many people still don't see it this way, so it needs to be talked about some more. And another reason for me talking about demons from this angle as well is because sometimes we really need to expose our thoughts, our minds, to a different point of view. I'll give you an example. I was just studying from the dictionary this morning, and I came across a word I wasn't looking for, and the word was snooze. And so I thought about the snooze button on the alarm clock, and I thought, if the snooze button, coming from the word snooze, lets you snooze or sleep some more, then that's not what the snooze button should have been called if it's an alarm clock. Because the purpose of having an alarm clock is usually to wake up, so you can get ready for work, most likely, or for some other reason. So the full proper thinking with the alarm clock and the use of that snooze button fails to have us get what we want done, which is to get moving. Because the snooze button, coming from the meaning of letting you sleep some more, snooze some more, tells you to hit that button, so you go and snooze or sleep some more when you're really supposed to be getting up. So the mind is not fully engaged with waking up, so you sleep some more for another 10 or 15 minutes, whatever the snooze button is programmed to do. It would have been better to have that button called the wake button, and then change the way it functions a little bit more, which helps you to wake up. So instead of hitting the snooze button, which lets you think that you can sleep some more, you should be hitting a button on your alarm clock that's called the wake button. And that wake button should alarm a little louder than the first alarm that let you be pressing the button now. The wake button should then have a louder volume level, while at the same time doing something else, like probably giving a different sound from the first alarm sound, to show some difference, so you will associate difference in your mind with getting up. You are laying down, now you're doing something different, which is getting up. But when it sounds the same way, you might be led to do the same thing, which is continue to lay down. So it can probably give a different sound that is louder than the first sound, but also have a violent vibration, like when your cell phone vibrates. This wake button will then also vibrate, but vibrate in a more violent way than your cell phone will, so that it will vibrate so strongly that it might just continue to vibrate till the whole alarm clock is shaking and moving on the desk or your bedside table, so that you're scared that it will fall off. And if it does fall off, then it's just going to fall on the ground. You're going to pick it up. But before that, you'll just really try to do something different now, because you don't want it to break. But if it vibrates so much that it falls, you're going to be like, oh, alarmed a little bit. So you'll try to reach over and probably get up and pick it up. And if your alarm clock ever falls on the floor and breaks, you're more likely to get up next time because you don't want to have to get up to pick up the pieces or lose your alarm clock to have to spend money to buy another one. So the wake function or the wake button is more helpful in getting you to get out of bed. Not that it will work 100%, but it's more helpful than to have a snooze button that convinces you to snooze some more. The wake button functioning like this or in similar manner will more convince you to get out of bed. So sometimes we need to change our thinking a little bit more. And so with that in mind, this lesson will help you to change your mind about demons a little bit more so you can understand some more of who this Satan creature in the Bible is that I'm talking about, which I've got more lessons to do. Sometimes we just think the same way, even coming into this Hebrew Israelite teaching. We continue to think some of the same Christianized kind of thinking, so we don't see certain other things in Scripture the way that we should, because we've still got the Christian thinking, the Christian mind hanging on to us. But as I'm doing this lesson, it's coming out of a part of me that's endeavoring to reread the Bible from Genesis and on so I can change my mind from the Christian thinking a little bit more. So let's look here now from Wikipedia at the word demon. See what demon means. A demon from the Greek is a supernatural and often malevolent being prevalent in religion. So notice that they're calling it a supernatural being. The idea there is that it is a separate being apart from the person who has the demon inside of them. But that is incorrect. Because, as I'm going to show you some more, the demon is actually just something that they made up. And it might actually be said to be you. You are the demon. But the demon is also just a thought of something that the pagans before the Greeks, and certainly the Greeks and the Romans as well, but the ones before them, the pagans before them, made up that which is called demon in order to deceive people so that they will not take responsibility for being anti-God and for being Torah-less or for being godless or not following the Creator's instructions of how to live on the earth. If you can shirk off the responsibility for the evil that you do on Satan or on his demons, then you might do something bad, but you are not as bad or as guilty as that which you have done or that which you are guilty of participating in, because you can blame it on something else that's called Satan or a demon. But when you see that there is no such being called a demon, that's a spirit living outside of you that is located someplace else that is made up of spirit only, then you will have to find some other way to explain evil. And because these pagans did not want you to be responsible for the evil that you do, they teach you to pass on or tag the evil onto a creature that is outside of you, so you can tell the Creator it's somebody else that's doing it. And you spend all night prayer meetings and having people trying to help you pray to rebuke demons, when you just need to change your own heart so that you live different on the earth and so that you follow the Creator's Torah. Interestingly, I searched in the KJV and I noticed I did not find the word demon there. But you'll find words like spirit or terms like unclean spirits, and when you click on the Greek, it will tell you it's talking about a demon. For some reason, the KJV did not want to outright tell you it's a demon, but the understanding is there. Now, when you read other versions, it will just come out and tell you it's demon. So it's funny that demons are so heavily in the Christian church spoken of, but the word demon isn't outright there when they translated it over into the English. That's real interesting. But look here now from this website, gotquestions.org, no doubt a Christian website. I've come across it a number of times in the past. And it says, what does the Bible say about demons? And here's their answer. Demons are fallen angels, as Revelation 12 and verse 9 indicates, by saying that the great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil, or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled onto the earth. Now, I'm going to be looking into this, but of course, so far as I've read in Torah, I don't find anywhere where 1/3 of the angels were cast out of heaven. I tell you, I'm rereading the Bible from Genesis, and I've been trying to get past the whole. You've seen me doing lessons on writing and on the Garden of Eden and Adam and Eve. I've been trying to get past those early chapters, but I'm stuck there. It's like I can't move past it because I want to move on to the rest of Genesis. But I noticed though that in Torah I cannot find anything that tells me that 1/3 of the angels were cast out, or billions of angels were cast out of heaven. So where is the New Testament getting these numbers from, that 1/3 were cast out of heaven? So demons are fallen angels, they said, as in Revelations 12:9. I don't know of any place in the Old Testament that says that identify demons as being fallen angels. So I'm going to be looking for that. If you find it, let me know. So far as I can see, this teaching of demons from the New Testament is not correct, because I have not found any basis in Torah that lets me know that demons are fallen angels that were cast out of heaven. And they're saying here that Satan chose to rebel against God in heaven with his angels. The people I see rebelling against God are just people like you and myself. But certainly the nations rebel against him by not keeping his Torah and by fighting against his people. So, you see what I'm saying? But the demons are more about how they live in their hearts. Now, I know people are going to tell me about in the Apocrypha and Book of Enoch and so on, and like a spirit is held in some pit under the ground, upside down, with his head pointing down in the pit, and something that sounds like it's coming out of Hollywood and so on. You're going to tell me all this kind of stuff. So, because of that, I know one day I will eventually have to do a lesson on just angels. But I think right here I will say that you might have heard me mention before, I don't really read the Apocrypha, which is true. And because from what I've heard, Apocrypha sounds very strange and some say it's not inspired. I'm rethinking that. I'm not saying I just believe in the Apocrypha, because I don't, because having not read it, I can't really say I believe in it. That would be kind of silly. But I also find it, and I find some of the things in it incredible. Sometimes it's telling you to worship spirits or some type of purgatory stuff, or pay, what do you call it? Pay alms for the dead, or pay alms for your salvation, or something like that. And some of the stuff in the Book of Enoch is very scary, very way out there, and so on. But I find it quite odd that the expressions that I find in the apocryphal books are so intense with Hebrew thought that it would have no Israelite input. So is it the case that, and it could be, that the Hebrews had these writings and the heathen just took them over and edited and inserted certain things that they wanted in them? Or parts of them were written by the Hebrews who, might have gone astray and got influenced by heathen empires that were ruling over them and so on. Or something, right? So it's something I'm going to have to look into. But I really find it strange that there's nothing in the apocryphal books. And by the way, there are New Testament apocryphal books as well, but I'm focusing on the regular ones that we know of more in the Old Testament. I find it strange that there is nothing in the apocryphal books that would not amount to truth. And so as I'm rereading the Bible, I'm trying to not be so biased. But this is just my understanding here of stuff. So as I look at the Apocrypha, I can be fake with myself by saying that because I once thought that the Apocrypha is not true or might have some fake stuff in it, that I must always stick to that. No, as I learn and I grow more, I learn to think some more, and I made the decision that I'm going to not dive into the Apocrypha because it seemed strange to me at the time, and I wanted to be cautious. So I said, people are saying more and more, and websites are saying this and that and whatever, that it was not inspired, and scholars are saying not inspired and whatever, and so on and so forth, so it wasn't included. So I decided to stay away from it. But if, as I go along, a thought comes to me that it has very strong Hebrew truths in it and Hebrew expressions in it, so I should give it some time in terms of, spending some time to reading it to see what it's really saying. I should really be honest in saying that to myself and in expressing it. Doesn't mean I'm going to just read it and say all of it is true, because there's clearly some stuff that's just dead right wrong in it. At least, if anything, some of the history in it are definitely true, and no one should deny that. No one should deny that. But some of the spiritual stuff in it, about holidays and so on, I wonder, because they look like they actually make more sense and help to explain certain holiday stuff in the Bible and so on. So, in time I'm going to have to look into that myself too. But, so that's that. But even in the Apocrypha, you find this Satan stuff, I'd imagine, this demon stuff, and they built upon it and so on, But as you learn to think for yourself, you get to understand that, these people who decided that the Apocrypha should not be canonized in the regular part of the Bible that we treat as the Old Testament, they were teaching us about demons. But as I'm finding, demons were just a thought originally in the mind, from what I've learned, of people who imagined a being that was responsible for evil and that was doing bad stuff to you, and they used it to get people to worship them in pagan ways, meaning worship them, the kings and the priests and so on, and use it to make you bring your riches to them and so on, by telling you if you didn't give them of your riches or of your income, your taxes and so on, that demons or gods are going to punish you and things like that. So it was just something in the mind put into stories to get people to think that there was some other spirit out there that would chastise them if they didn't obey the king or the rulers. And then eventually it grew in time to being something that would inspirit you, or indwell you. So when this Christian website is saying they are fallen angels, no. Demons were not fallen angels. Demons were originally just a concept in the mind, or thought in the mind of people who thought that this is what evil was about and so on. And it was used for trickery. Like in certain pagan feasts, they would have you festivals, like even Christmas now and Halloween. They would tell you to come and partake in the feast. They would tell you to come and give certain food to the priests out of what you worked for to feed your family, and also get you to come outside and give your daughter to them to have sex with your daughter and so on. And or to give up your child to be sacrificed and killed in their blood sacrifices, because they feel they will get power like that. Because if the life of the flesh is in the blood, if they're getting more blood, they feel they're getting more power and stuff like that. So in order to get you to do these things so they can rape your child or kill your child, they tell you these demons or these gods, because they eventually came to be known as gods, and eventually they got special names like Zeus and so on and so on. They scared you with demons to make you give up your child. That's how it started out. So now, this website, GodQuestion.org, go on to say, demons as spirit beings have the ability to take possession of a physical body. Demonic possession occurs when a person's body is completely controlled by a demon. This cannot happen to a child of God, since the Holy Spirit resides in the heart of the believer in Christ. 1 John 4:4. This is all garbage teaching. I'm going to show you what a demon is, and that there is no demonic possession of a person by a demon coming from the outside of you and going inside of you. Look here, I'm going to read now about the word spirit from the Collins Etymological and Reference Dictionary. The principle, spirit means life, and certainly we know the Most High breathed into man the breath of life. Spirit means life, or the principle of life. And when you deal with the principle of life, that's basically like saying it's the spirit is the underlying cause that allows the man to possess and express any vitality. So when he breathed into man the breath of life, when man got spirit in him that breathed into him, or that entered into him, or moved into him, he could now express vitality. He could express life. Whereas stillness would more be dealing with no life. So when the spirit moved into him, or entered into him, vitality came in. The principle of life or vitality, that which causes a man to express thought, emotion, movement, thinking, have cognitive power, things like that, that became possible. So read it again. Spirit is dealing with life, or the principle of life. The soul, a spectre, it deals with temper, disposition of mind. Note that one is very important here. Disposition of mind, eager desire, courage, cheerfulness, vigor of mind, fire, leader of a cause, and so on. So now you see, since demon is usually thought of as being a spirit that enters into and possesses someone, you're starting to get the understanding now that a demon is more dealing with just a spirit that has a disposition of mind. So now let's understand how, since demons are associated with evil, or is responsible for evil as they've taught us, if spirit has to deal, if a demon is a spirit, and spirit deals with the disposition of mind etymologically, then what it is telling you is that a demon is really dealing with the disposition of mind, which means that the mind is disposed to doing something evil. So then one is said to be demonic, as opposed to having a demon entering into them from the outside. It's a disposition or a set of the mind or a set of the soul. It's not a spirit that's coming into you from outside. It's the set of the soul toward evil inclinations. So you see, the same demon is the same principle as the Satan principle that gets you to do evil. So you don't have a demon that possesses you that makes you do evil. You are the one who does evil, and so then you can be said to be demonic. So when you look at demonic possession as they taught us in the Christian thinking, Demonic possession should be more properly understood as simply being possessed by an idea that lets one be seen as being disposed in their mind toward an evil inclination or carrying out that evil inclination. You have all of that inside you. It's not something that comes outside and possesses you. So that there are now two beings living inside one body. Your spirit and another spirit that's possessing you. It's not like that. So spirit still now deals with the vigor of the mind, cheerfulness, courage, and so on. So it's again the disposition of the mind towards courage, towards doing something brave, heroic, towards going to something, or cheerfulness and so on. That disposition of cheerfulness, making one cheerful and happy and so on, and joyful. That's a spirit. These are components of the spirit of man that lets mankind be able to feel cheerful or joyful or have courage or express love and so on. It is not that you are possessed by something else outside of you that makes you cheerful. Your spirit, or when he breathed into man the breath of life or the spirit of life, your spirit that was breathed into you has as a part of its makeup that which can let you be disposed toward evil if you choose it, or that which can let you be cheerful if you choose to be cheerful. It's not a second spirit coming in from the outside to make you do that. So spirit is the vigor of the mind. And when you deal with vigor, you start to think, what comes to mind is like the stirring of the mind. When you're stirring something and they tell you spirit is dealing with alcohol as well. Because alcohol is said to be a spirit. Why? Because it does something to the mind. And so, like, you can think of when somebody gets drunk. It's like they say they have a spirit in them. So alcohol is linked to that word spirit. That person isn't filled with a spirit outside of them when they are drunk. They're filled with a liquid that they have been intoxicated with that lets their mind no longer function properly with the regular functions of their senses or of their body. So if a drunk man is not walking straight, he is not filled with a spirit that was living outside of him that came into him and let him no longer walk straight. That spirit is just a liquid acting on him that lets his mind and his body no longer coordinate properly, so that he cannot walk straight anymore because his mind is not functioning in a calm, proper, sensible kind of way. So he walks left and right instead of going straight, and he's bump into the wall or into a table and so on. That's not a being outside of him coming into him to make him not walk straight anymore. So the mind is not able to, the mind or the spirit of the mind is not able to instruct the body to walk straight anymore and have the body walk straight, because the body cannot carry out the function or the directive of the mind, which is his spirit. So there is a disconnect between the normal bodily functions of the body from what the spirit or the mind that's working with his brain is trying to get him to do. It is not a being that is living outside of him that came into him that's telling him to not walk straight anymore. It's not such a being that fell from heaven with 1/3 of angels that came down with Satan. So demon is not that. They were just lying to us and deceiving us. So spirit now, when you read some definitions for spirit, it will, a demon, it will also tell you devil. Now let's look up, so it basically is dealing with the same thing. Let's look at the word demon again from the same etymological dictionary. Where is the word demon? It says it is a spirit, especially evil. So if it is a spirit, you are that spirit, or you are that moving, functioning, life-like person who was giving life and animation and vitality from the Creator, who is especially evil because they are disposed toward, in the mind, toward doing something that is not right. They also say demon means a devil, or possessed of evil spirits, devilish, a human being possessed by a devil. So you see, it still doesn't get far from what I've been trying to say. Now, let me read here from Matthew chapter 8, verse 16. Like I said, you're going to see terms like devil or devils or unclean spirits instead of the word demon itself directly in the King James. But other version will just come out and tell you demons in the English. And this part here could even go with my New Testament is fake shoes, because this again really, so I might actually just take this part and put in the series for the New Testament is fake, because this again shows me the fakery of the New Testament writings about Jesus. Because if Jesus is about truth and so on, why is he casting out demons out of people? Because if a demon is not a spirit that fell from heaven with 1/3 of his other brothers or friends or army of Satan that fell from heaven, if a demon is not 1/3 of those that comes to go inside of a person, then it is not a demon is not something to cast out as a living being or a living spirit to cast out of a person. So Jesus or Yahushua should not be casting out one of the 1/3 of, or a number of them, as in the case of legions, out of a person, since a demon is not a living actual creature that is a spirit being that entered into a person. But since a demon is a disposition of the mind toward evil, then instead of casting out a disposition of the mind or how can I put it in other words, when you say someone is, they're convinced or they're set in their mind to do evil, instead of casting out a set in the mind to do evil, he should have been teaching the person the right things based on Torah, so that they would become a righteous person and do the right thing and become set apart again, since he's teaching Israelites in the New Testament. So this is what the Messiah, so-called Messiah, should have been doing. Instead of casting out an unreal person that was a part of a 1/3 angelic army that fell with Satan from heaven out of somebody's body, he should have been going into Torah and teaching the Torah to get the person to change the evil disposition of their mind toward doing the right thing that Torah was saying. So you see how this Jesus shows up to be fake with the New Testament? Because it was the Greeks turned Romans who were writing the New Testament to write in their Zeus or their demons, which were their made-up gods, to convince you and lead you astray, so that you would think that evil is not something that you are doing, it is something that a spirit is doing that fell from heaven with a 1/3 angelic army of evil who was resisting the Most High in heaven. No, you are the one resisting the Most High on the earth. You are the one doing that. So you are the demon. Or you have the demonic operation in your spirit or in your mind. So since the demon is not one of those angels that fell that came into you, he should not have been casting out the unclean spirit or the unclean demon from out of them and legion in them, in the demoniac from Gadara, out of the person, like 600 or so of them, because a legion would probably be about 600. I think they said a legion is anywhere, a Roman legion is like a group of soldiers, anywhere from 300 to 900 soldiers. So he could have anywhere from 300 to 900. A lot of people say about 600. They just put it somewhere in the middle, I guess. So he should not have been casting out about 600 individual fallen angelic demons or fallen angels out of the demoniac of Gadara. He should have been instructing the man in Torah to bring the man's mind back to truth and to the instruction or the Torah teachings of the Most High. There were no demons in the New Testament that was a spirit that fell from heaven. None. So Jesus and his New Testament is fake. Now you understand why I teach the New Testament is fake series. Let's get off this Jesus stuff. So in Matthew 8 verse 16, it says from the KJV, and I'll read from another version as well. When the even was come, they brought unto him many that were possessed with devils. See, they use the word devils, but when you click on the letter here, the word here, it's telling you to be under the power of a demon. And then you go down some more, it's, will tell you that basically under the power of a demon. So if you go on looking into it some more, it's going to let you know it's an evil spirit, because it's coming from another word, daemon. It's an evil spirit. No. To be under the power of a demon, now that you understand what I'm saying to you with the other definitions and so on that I give to you in the etymology of the word and so on, and the history that it was made up by pagans to trick people that there is some unseen god like Zeus and the other names that they have for these demigods and so on. To be under the power of a demon would then be understood as being to be under the persuasion that one should do something that is evil or do something that is wrong, or that one should live in an improper way before the Creator, an anti-Torah way. So you don't cast an anti-Torah way out of a person in that sense as some kind of quasi-physical being that is a spirit. You don't cast that out like that. You teach it out of the person. You don't cast it out by speaking, get out of him. You teach it out. That's why in the Old Testament, the Most High would give lots of instructions, and the priests and so on and the prophets would teach Israel, and Moses would be saying to them, even the Deuteronomy 28, we call it blessings and cursings, but he was really teaching of what would happen good to us if we did the right things, but what would happen bad to us as consequences if we did the wrong thing. He was teaching Torah to the children of Israel. Teaching. So when he talked about the curses, he wasn't saying demons are going to be into you. He's teaching them, and the Most High didn't say, I will cast demons out of you if you don't follow these things I say, and you get curses. Because the Most High is saying, now how I will end your curse of your captivity is not by casting a demon out of you because you did the wrong thing, but because you were persuaded in your mind to do anti-Torah things and break my commandments. I will punish you by sending you into captivity, and I will end the captivity when the time comes, not by casting out the demons out of you, but by simply removing you from your captivity again. And then I will put my Torah or my true teachings in your heart so that you will get rid of the quote-unquote demon persuasion in the mind to do evil. And so your heart will be persuaded by my Torah or by my new covenant or by my renewed Torah in your heart, my renewed teaching in your heart that will let you do the right thing again, as in the first part of Deuteronomy 28. So doing the wrong thing and being led to do the wrong thing and so on is a persuasion toward evil. It is not a demon that needs to be cast out of people in the sense that they were being cast out of people in the New Testament. So to continue reading, they brought many unto him that were possessed with devils or with demons, and he cast out the spirits with his word, and he healed all that were sick. So to cast them out, that's really, that's just trick. That shows the fakery of it all, because it says that means to cast out, to drive out, with the notion of violence and so on. No, he should have been teaching them to bring their mind back to where they would live in the proper way. Now let's read this same Matthew 8 verse 16 from this other Bible. This is the NRSV version of the Bible. It's a Catholic Bible. Let me look for Matthew chapter 8 and verse 16. And it says, that evening they brought to him many who were possessed with demons. So you see, the KJV doesn't want to just come out and tell you demons. You have to click on it and search through and link to this other word, and then they tell you demons. They say word like devils to just try to hide, because people who are studying know that demons are actually made up stuff from heathen pagans in ancient times who were making up gods. When they made up this demon, they call him a certain name. They made up this other demon, they call him a certain name, this other demon, and so on. And they told the stories to people in myths and get them to believe something that was not there. So like Superman today is a demon. But they made him look fancy because they told many stories of him over many centuries and thousands of years. And now he's just the same demon as was in ancient times. Superman. All these cartoon characters and so on, these powerful cartoon characters, they're demons or have demonic things about them. Even the lasso from Wonder Woman, that's demonic teachings. The lasso is a serpent from ancient times and serpent worship. And so Superman is a demon. Called El from the Canaanites. El from the Canaanites is a god. And those gods were imaginations of men's minds. And to give people something that they could see, they made an object or a figure of a man or something else, or of an animal, out of hard stone or wood, and said, this is the El that you're worshipping. They were first just a concept in the mind. And then they made a physical object for the people to connect with physically. And because the people were so removed from their mind, they got attached to it. They removed from Torah in their mind, so they got attached to it. But it says that they brought to him many who were possessed with demons, and he cast out the spirits with a word and caused and cured all who were sick. So he shouldn't have been casting out the spirits of demons. He should have been teaching them something, because demons are just dealing with the thought of the mind that convinces one to do evil. From the Zondervan Compact Bible, I got this and then two more to read from, and then through Demons. Where is it now? Demons from the Zondervan Dictionary. Evil spirits, as in Matthew 8:16 that I just read, Luke 10:17 and 20, which I'm not going to read. It says it means invisible, incorporeal, form, hierarchy, Ephesians 6:10 to 12, have superhuman intelligence. And even that is trick, because that's just a trick to tell you that it's angelic, because it's angels that fell from heaven. Something that has superhuman intelligence, and they are opposed to God. No, you are the one opposed to God. They take possession of people. It's your mind that is telling you to do stuff. They're bringing upon them such evils as blindness and insanity in the New Testament, and dumbness and so on. No, these blindness and dumbness in people are curses from the Creator as a consequence for doing evil things upon the earth. No one gets away with evil on the earth. Not even the children of Israel got away with doing evil. They got their own curses as well put upon them. So even the heathen got their curses. And so these different curses in the New Testament, even if you say he's healing the Israelites in the New Testament, well, the curses in Deuteronomy 28 already said the sicknesses upon the Egyptians and so on are going to come upon us. So, and different kinds of sickness and stuff like that. And when you come to the way that people eat now, from long time ago, including now in modern times with all the GMO foods and the made-up foods and so on, you've got corn being sold in stores now that are manufactured in a factory. So when you see people eating like this, now people getting sick and becoming blind and so on, and getting cancers and different stuff, it's a curse from the Creator that if people don't eat the right things, they become sick and they lose their eyesight, things like that. It's a curse from the Creator. When the world is living in transgression against Torah, people get sick, whether they're Israelite or not. So if it's healing people from so-called in the stories of the New Testament, it's just a way to show you that people were getting sick because of curses. And they're trying to tell you that he did all these healings. It's just a made-up story. Now, there are people who heal people from sicknesses. So that itself doesn't guarantee anything. If you want, I can talk about that if anybody asks me. I don't really want to do it here. But the healing of, it's just, that's another talk. All right, so I'll read now on the word demon from the New Concise Bible Dictionary. It says demon, although rarely referred to in the Old Testament, and that's true because just like Satan, they're not going to be all that massive in the Old Testament. Although rarely referred to in the Old Testament, demons are frequently mentioned in the Gospels. In the classics, and that's another thing to get you to, they just pop up in the New Testament like they're working overtime. Why? In the classics, the demon was a good god, and they have all this stuff, good demons, like Zeus and them were good, and so on, all these demons from ancient times that they made up, which were gods made up in the mind to trick people to worship these things. How can demons be good? But there were good gods or being with divine power. But in the Gospels, they are always hostile to God, and that's just something else. Because in ancient times, the pagans had some good demons. All of a sudden, in the New Testament, these demons aren't running rampant in the Old Testament, but as soon as you flip the page to the New Testament, all of a sudden, the New Testament pages are just rampant with demons. They're just rampant with demons. Look, in the Old Testament, you got people sleeping with other people's wives. They're doing all kinds of stuff there. Till the Moses is complaining to his prophets, they're killing each other, they're doing all kinds of unrighteous stuff, they're not keeping the holidays, they're doing all kinds of whatever, they're doing all kinds of abominable stuff in the Old Testament, and demons aren't running rampant there. But in the New Testament, they just start to run rampant for some strange reason. And demons were sometimes good in ancient times, but in the New Testament, they are always only hostile to God, meaning the bad demons are just present. Why are there no good demons in the New Testament? Not even one good demon is in the New Testament. Doesn't that seem strange? Their leader is Beelzebub, or Satan, as in Mark 3:22. People possessed by demons display such symptoms as dumbness, epilepsy, strange behavior, and so on. Their power is attributed to Satan. And I already told you Satan is just people doing that, but there's a time when the Most High uses this Satan creature, which is just a way to send an angel to do something to tempt people. As I heard one guy express it recently, I was listening to some video, and he was saying Satan, was a way for the Most High to send an angel to, and I have to look into this, but this is what he's saying, to like tempt someone who was, let's say, I'm going to put it in my way now, they were disposed toward evil in their mind, or as the New Testament would put it, possessed by demons, but we know from what I'm saying here, they're in their mind disposed toward evil. And the person might have been weak in a certain era, inclined to do evil and so on, and they're probably going towards evil, or they're just always doing evil. And it's difficult for them to choose the right thing, but the Most High is giving them a chance to do the right thing. Now, whether this is based properly in Torah or not, I don't know. Like I said, the guy saying this, I don't remember his name. I listened to it yesterday. So I'm going to look into it some more. But according to what he's saying, there seems to be some, if not all, truth to it. So take it carefully. That the Most High would send this Satan, which is just an angel, any angel, not necessarily this master Satan creature, right? Who is the only one called Satan, but any angel to operate as a Satan, to tempt the person, and that person gets the opportunity to choose to carry out the evil or to resist. And obviously, if they resist it and do the right thing, it's kind of like they've passed the test, and so they may have some change in their life for the better, or find some salvation with the Most High because they resisted the temptation to do evil, which means they are choosing from their heart to do the right thing. But then if they continue to do the wrong thing, like let's say now the Pharaoh would do the wrong thing and still try to kill the children of Israel, he's obviously choosing to do the wrong thing, so he gets destroyed. So whether this concept is something that's just like in some midrash teachings or halakha kind of teaching and so on from the Jews, I don't know. Stuff like this would probably be stuff like that. So I don't know if that's where the guy got it from. But for what it's worth, the thoughts included in that, you can look into it and see what it's worth. I'm going to read now from the last book now. It's my Webster's Dictionary from the mid-1800s. Look at the word demon and see what it says. Where's demon? Demon. The origin and primary sense of this word. Okay, so Webster, apparently Webster now with Webster's Dictionary, this is one of his older dictionary. Apparently Webster was a Christian. I might have mentioned this before as well. Seems he was a Christian, and so he gave some kind of he tried to fit in some Christian thinking in his definitions as well. And he gives, I don't know about the modern Webster's, but in these old ones like I've got here, he gives Arabic and Hebrew words or terms with the Arabic and Hebrew letters as well and words to try to explain his definitions. And he mentions a little Arabic stuff here too, which I probably won't get into, but he's saying here now, demon, dealing with, coming from daemon. He says it's the origin and primary sense. The origin and primary sense of this word I have not been able to ascertain. And I found that a little bit strange this morning reading it, because him being a Christian, for him to have all these Christian teachings and not know where to find the origin and meaning of this word is a little bit odd. Goes to show you then that it wasn't in his Bible, in Old Testament Torah, because there were no demons taught that you should believe in by the Israelites. They didn't teach that you should believe in demons like that. So obviously he was searching around, and he said he couldn't find the origin for this word demon. He couldn't ascertain it, but now he goes from, I guess they're using abbreviation, so I think he's saying the Quran, and he's dealing with the Arabic here, and he says it is spoken of as being dahima, daima, which means to fall suddenly, to rush, to overwhelm, to obscure. Reminds me of that word dealing with Jehovah from the Strongs. But means to obscure, to blacken, whence misfortune, blackness, evil, a monster. Or, yeah. So again here you see now that he's saying from the Arabic it's dealing with evil or an idea. So basically it's like what I said before, that the dictionary says it's an idea of the mind. So when you are disposing the mind towards evil ideas, that's when you are said to be demonic or to have a demon. So to say the expression to have a demon or to be possessed by a demon is a trick way of letting you think in ancient times that something is coming into you from the outside when it's all happening on the inside of you, that you are just thinking to do evil. It's a word signifying evil. Okay, he's saying now, or the word demon is a compound of dia, dios, and man, which are words signifying evil from the Persian, but he's saying he's not sure of this. And so he says, I place little confidence in these conjectures. So again, his questioning is just a way of showing that as a Christian, he's having problems defining the word demon. Even though in the Christian teachings that influence our minds to think like this, that 1/3 of the angels fell and these are fallen angels, is so strong, he's having problems really ascertaining all of this stuff. A spirit or immaterial being holding a middle place between men and the celestial deities of the pagans. So now that goes in line with what I said. this spirit or immaterial being is really just something that they believed or taught people, that these things existed, but they could never prove them to people. So in order to give people something that was provable, because they could touch and feel it as a material thing, they then made statues for them to worship and said, this is your El, this is your God, this is your Zeus, this is your statue. Because they couldn't prove these things that were not seen, they made something that people could see. Because think of it, the first time in ancient times that pagans told people that there's this spirit, there's this demon that you should worship that's doing this stuff to you, or that will do this if you don't give me your taxes or your money and so on, or if you don't give me your daughter to rape. First time they told people that these demons are fallen angels, the first time that people heard that in very, very, very ancient times, then those people would have known that nobody before them ever taught such ideas, so they would say that's not true. It's like if I come to you now and tell you that a jello pole is something for you to carry your food on, like a saucer. But this jello pole, you don't have to carry it yourself. You just have to put your foot on it, and you can walk with your hands free, and it will carry itself. It will sail through the air and carry all your food to the table. And it's always steady. It's always stable. And if someone bumps into it, it never topples over and so on. That way you're guaranteed to get your food to the table fine. So that even helps people who have nerve issues and so on, always shaking their hands. They're not going to fall and spill their juice that's in the cup on the jello pole. The first time I tell people about jello pole, because there's no such thing as a jello pole, and I'm just making it up. And I told them, yeah, I was in Argentina the other day and I saw a jello pole. People are using jello poles there. They've never seen a jello pole. They can only imagine it. And so to convince them of a jello pole, I go and I get some wood and so on, and I cut and make up a jello pole. I sand it down and I paint it or stain it. I make it look nice and tell them where it is, and I mark out a place for the cup and a place for the plate and so on. I said this is what it is, and then I show them the other stuff underneath it and said this part under here would have the stuff that actually mysteriously powers the jello pole. It doesn't use batteries, it's not solar and whatever, it's just something, whatever. It's some ancient technology or whatever that's all natural, and it makes the jello pole move. Nobody's ever seen that. So they would say to me, that stuff isn't real. Nobody before me has ever seen a jello pole. Nobody else before you has ever seen or spoken of a jello pole. So they can't believe it. So in order to let them believe that it might be true, I go and I make something that looks like a jello pole in my mind to give them a representation of a jello pole, to convince them about a jello pole. And so I just tell them, well, like, how come people in Argentina aren't talking about this? I just tell them it's just some people in some remote areas that live away from society and so on. And I was doing my own touring, whatever. I went away far, walking, hiking, and found people living in caves, and they had the jello pole there. And they use it to hunt and bring their food and bring their fruits to them and so on and so forth when they go hunting. Or when they go picking their fruits, instead of walking back with all this stuff, they bring it on their jello pole so their hands are free, instead of carrying all that weight for themselves. Ancient technology that they had and whatever from the gods or whatever, I tell them. But people don't know about it. So I make up stuff. So when they told people, the first time people heard about demons and gods, nobody had ever heard stories about demons and gods before. Because demons are gods in that sense. So in order to convince people of these gods or these demons, they go and they make statues and say, this is what the god looked like. You see how they convince people? So the ancients believed that there were good and evil demons which had influence over the minds of men. See, again, it's all happening in the mind. They have to at some point tell you that these demons are influencing the mind to get people to do stuff. Why? Because the truth is, even these pagans and even the people who wrote the New Testament, the Romans and the Greeks and so on, know that the real demon is just a thought in the mind that pulls you away toward evil. No wonder the New Testament itself says men are tempted in their mind when they are drawn away by their own lust. You drawn away how? By the thoughts in your mind. So the New Testament itself is exposing how all this stuff works. So it had influence over the mind of men, and that these beings carried on intercourse between men and gods, conveying the addresses of men to the gods and divine benefits to men. Hence, demons became the objects of worship. I see that's how they get you to worship something else other than the Creator. Because now that they've replaced the Creator with some other being that they said fell from heaven, they get you to use your mind to worship anything else but the Creator. Go worship this other object outside of your mind, this other being outside of your mind, which translates to being a physical object that they made that's now really outside the mind. So they get you to stay in front of a statue and bow down and kiss it and so on. Which is like how what they did in the book of Daniel, when they made this statue and everybody of gold, everybody has to bow down and worship it or you're going to die and so on. So they move away from the spirit stuff that they cannot prove to give you something that they can prove, which is a physical object, and make you all worship it. And that's how God, that's why the Moses said, there are no other gods. I'm the only one. Because he knows they're all made up stuff. Made up from the minds of men. Because the evil happens in the mind and then you carry it out with the hands. That's why he also says, let me move on. So in the scriptures, in the Greek, it is where demon is rendered devil, and sometimes at least improperly. For nothing is more certain than that different beings are intended by whatever Greek words they're giving here. Demons of the New Testament were supposed to be the spiritual beings which vexed and tormented men. But as I'm showing here, it's your mind that's vexing and tormenting you. When, like I showed you already, spirit is dealing with demon, and spirit, I told you, is the disposition of mind that can give you cheerfulness and so on, right? Or torment the mind. So when your mind is unhappy and unpleasant thoughts are in your mind and so on, you can be tortured in your mind. You're not at peace. But when something happens good to you, you can be happy because you feel happy, you think happy. You think joyful, cheerful thoughts, or you can just begin to feel that way by thinking cheerful thoughts before something cheerful even happened to you. And that's one of the tricks about life, about overcoming life. It's all in the mind. I hope that you can see a different way to thinking here. Just like the snooze button at the start I said needs to be changed. Sometimes we need to change our minds, the way we think about different things in the Bible, like we've been taught in religion, I should say, which are not correct. And just like in this case, now you've got some different things to think about what a demon is. It's not no actual angel that fell from heaven. It's not no angel that fell from heaven. And it's funny too that when you deal with just man in general and empires falling and so on, and empires doing wicked things and so on, and armies fighting, sometimes you'll find some people even in an evil army that's going to kill people, that will have some compassion and save some people from the enemy that they were sent to kill. And they'll try to save somebody because they don't agree with what their own wicked king is sending them to do. And so they can change. How come 1/3 of the probably billions of angels, or however many, fell? And you don't find a few of these demons doing good things in the New Testament. Or you don't find some of these good demons doing good things today. Demons come, they say, and tempt you today and inhabit you today, and possess you today and make you do evil things. And you don't find a couple of these good demons that were angels that fell from heaven saying to you, I'm possessing you, but I'm going to possess you to do good. Because I was once doing good and I made a bad mistake. I shouldn't have left heaven like that, fallen from heaven with Satan or supposed master leader. But I don't agree with it. I want to tempt you to do some good. I want to show you some good things, to do good things. You know, it's really odd. It's all deception. It's all religion. Thanks for listening.